What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Two Dudes and a Beard podcast. My name's Britt, and I'm back with Co once again. Today, we'll talk about our bets and predictions from last week. Talk about some great games from last weekend. Who would have even thought Bama and Texas would have been that close? We'll talk about our top games this week and predict them. Hence, they're not going to get any better. There'll probably be some upsets this week, too. And then we'll give our best bets of the week. So we'll start with last week's bets. Co went 3-1, with the only one failing was Bama minus 20. Did you actually think Bama minus 20 was going to be the one that actually failed you?
No, I thought that was my slam dunk.
I think you said that too. It was like so obvious. Then I went 2-2 with Baylor failing me, and Kentucky helped me a lot there. Oh, Dominion also failed me. I don't know even why I went for that. East Carolina took care of business in that one. And Co's predictions last week were 5-2 with the Baylor L and what was the other one?
App State.
You had App State, right? Who was the other one you got wrong? Let's see here. It was obvious. Wake Forest? No, you had Wake Forest. Where's it at? I can't find the photos from last week. You had your L's were. I can't believe you still picked App State. Oh, Houston. Houston was your other L.
Yeah.
So, and my L's were obviously Houston, Baylor, App State, and Tennessee. It's hard to see me pick Tennessee, but I probably should have, thinking about it. But I wouldn't expect Slavis to get hurt in the what was that, third quarter in that game. He got hurt in that game. I remember that. And their backup was trash, so they were never gonna go good. So we'll talk about. Wait, say it. Go for it.
I was gonna say Slavis had a tough game. I saw him get hurt. I watched it. It wasn't good, but it is what it is.
We'll move it right into our games, but those will be on the screen during the with our conversation right there, in case you guys want to see them. But now we'll move to Alabama and Texas. The Tide went in as 20-point favorites, and Bailey scraped a 1-point win out thanks to kicker Will Richard. Quinn Ewers got hurt in that game. Another QB got hurt versus Alabama. All right, let's talk about this game.
All right, I'm embarrassed, and I'm sure Nick Saban is too. I think he will have a stern conversation with his team whenever they get back to Tuscaloosa, if they're not already.
They probably got the chewing already.
Yeah, they got that ass chewing already. So they have a fair ass chewing coming their way, and they deserve it. I don't think that Texas is better than we thought they were. I think that Alabama just played worse than they should. That's my position.
I'm going to say I think Texas is a tiny bit better than I thought they were. I didn't have high hopes for them this year, but I think they are a little bit better. But having Ewers injured now, I don't have any hopes for them anymore. But credit to that Austin crowd, as always. They were allowed the whole game. 15 penalties. The most undisciplined Bama team I've ever seen in my life. Gosh. That was bad.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. The crowd was awesome. The quarterback was awesome. I was pulling for Bama. I mean, obviously Bama was one of my bets. I hated to see him go down the way he went down. I hope he makes a speedy recovery, and I hope he comes back because he showed a lot of promise.
We will talk about that injury here and when we get to the news section of this. But we'll move on to Kentucky and Florida. We won't bring up Kentucky every week on this podcast. But if they're upsetting Florida in the swamp, we're definitely going to talk about them.
You're full of shit. We're going to talk about Kentucky every week.
Oh, come on. We're not going to talk about Kentucky versus Youngstown State. Come on. unless Will Levis has a 500-yard, 10-touchdown game. We'll talk about them most podcasts we will, but sometimes we will not. But this one we're talking about Florida and UK. Dane Key with the God catch in the first half turned all momentum back to our favor. Levis played pretty well. Anthony Richardson is not who we thought he was. They were comparing him Cam Newton. Who else? There's few great NFL quarterbacks. What went wrong for Anthony Richardson in that game?
Sorry, say that again.
What went wrong with Anthony Richardson?
Oh man,
a lot of things.
Yeah, it's kind of where to start. I kind of see him as like a short ball thrower that he can't pitch the ball. You know, he's not your Levis or your, your Manning or your high caliber quarterback. He's not your high caliber quarterback. That's the way I see it.
I noticed one thing during that game particularly. It was after he threw the, I believe, first interception. He threw them balls like 70 miles per hour. How does he expect his wide receivers to actually like catch it? If you can't make an accurate throw, you can't just, oh, please catch that. Oh, crap.
Yeah, no, he throws. He kind of reminds me of Brett Favre in that, Brett Favre was famous for breaking people's fingers whenever, he would throw. But Favre would put it so close to your chest that you had no fucking choice but to catch it.
And Richardson, he kind of just like puts a lot of power on it and hope you catch it above their heads and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's big difference there. But when we talk about the Kentucky defense here, a pick six by Kadarian Smith. Linebackers played great all night. Held Richardson to 4 yards. He had, I believe, 106 or 116 versus Utah. So what's the bright spot about the Kentucky defense? The linebacking core or the defensive line?
Right now, to me, it's the linebacking core because of their speed. They're so fast. They move around the field so fast. And, I mean, to me, the way that I see coaching, if you have linebackers that can chase the ball and get to the ball, that just improves your strength on defense.
I'm going to say I know we got Jordan Rout back this week. He was the one that was spying on Richardson the whole game. I don't know if we would have won that game without him. He had that one-handed pick in the first half as well to get us back on track at the end of the first half. Good job, Jordan Rout. We love you. But now move to Florida. We can talk about Kentucky all day. The Florida defense they didn't play that bad. I don't even know what to say. Their linebacking core is pretty good as well. They shut down Levis for most of the game, except that one God pass to Dane Key, couple of key passes. Secondary played pretty well as well.
I concur. Florida's defense played very well. I mean, I think they played lights out, to be honest. Just Kentucky was a little bit better. But Florida's offense, man, they're going to have to – I don't know what they're going to have to do, but they're going to have to do something.
Well, now we'll get to the fun games of the weekend. Well, that game was fun to me, but the actual fun games to everyone that hates Notre Dame. Marshall went into South Bend and knocked off the Fighting Irish behind Kalen LeBourne, 31 carries for 163 yards and a touchdown. He was the star of the game, probably the star of the weekend as well, with Arkansas linebacker, what's his name? Drew Sanders, the Alabama transfer. Them were probably the two best players of the weekend for me. Gosh.
Marshall, West Virginia, I'm all about it.
Now, I think this says a lot more about Notre Dame. I thought Marshall was going to be great going into the season. They got 2 interceptions within a 2-minute span in the last 5 minutes of the game. You're not going to win a game if you don't have a quarterback that can throw his throws. That's what happened to Notre Dame in that game. They just struggled and screwed themselves.
Yeah, what's amazing is that they kept them ranked going into this week.
Yeah, losing 2 games starting the season is probably not the way you should have a team in the top 25. But yeah, it's Notre Dame for you, so you can't really say much about it. The bright side of Notre Dame that game was Michael Mayer, 8 receptions for 103 yards and a TD. Probably their best player, to be honest. Definitely their best player. He'll be a big draft pick in this next draft if he goes. I think he's eligible. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he'll go. Next, we got my favorite, App State and Texas A&M.
So you switched between Tennessee and Pitt. When did you think this game was actually going to be like it can be an upset?
Honestly, I thought going into it just because.
Oh, of course.
I don't think that. I think that A&M slept on them. They were like, it's App State. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to prepare for it, etc. We're preparing for the next game, the following game. And so they just, which is Miami, if I'm not wrong.
It is Miami, and we will discuss that one a little bit later.
Yep. So I think they were worried about Miami, and they kind of slept on it. And I think that was a good bet. And
it worked out for you.
Yeah, obviously it was.
Now, there's App State. I know App State for running a game like Kentucky. Cameron Peoples was the start of that. 19 carries for 112 yards. I think they had like 300 yards rushing and near that at least. But their possession of time of possession or whatever, I think it was like around 20 more minutes when A&M even had the ball. That you can't win a game if you're going to let a team do that to you.
No, absolutely not. I mean, dude, Appalachian State totally dominated them. I mean, I know the score was close, but there was really no contest.
We'll discuss the Haynes King in a little bit whenever we talk about the Miami game. Because Texas A&M is making a switch at the quarterback. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll move to the game that you were actually watching before the UK game come on. Tennessee and Pitt. All right, so tell me about this game. I did not obviously watch this game.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the Tennessee quarterback, Hendon Hooker. Let's see, he went 27 for 42 for 325 and 2 TDs. I mean, I know that's not a good completion ratio, but that's a shit ton of passing attempts as well and a shit ton of yards. I think he played very well. And, I mean, they went into Pittsburgh, who was ranked number 17, and pulled off a solid victory by 7 points. I mean, I think Tennessee's a solid team. I hate to say it because I know Kentucky is going to have to play them, but I think Tennessee is solid.
I don't have any problems saying Tennessee's a good team. We already know Tennessee's a good team. I mean, they're still probably going to get smacked by Bama in a month or so, but they're still not a bad team. I expect a great battle in Knoxville between them and the Cats. But Tennessee's wide receiving core is insane. I know they got that USC transfer, Baru McCoy. I don't know if he played in that game or not. I'm sure he did. And Cedric Tillman. God, that man's insane. 9 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Can't ask for more out of a wide receiver.
Yeah, all their wide receivers were good. Their quarterback played great. I'm sure they would have liked a little bit more out of their defense, but I mean, that Pitt defense is pretty damn good too. Or sorry, Pitt offense is pretty damn good too. So
we know Slavis got hurt in this game. That backup quarterback was definitely not expecting to play in that game. And going versus the SEC defense, it was always going to be a pain for that quarterback. But can we talk? You remember that hurdle, right?
Oh my god, that was insane.
That was Gavin Barth. Oh no, how do you even say that? Bartholomew? Bartholomew? I can't even say it.
Probably
Gavin
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. Yeah, that's it. That man's insane.
Yeah, that man just straight up jumped over that guy.
I think you went put it in the end zone for 6. God, money. I couldn't believe it when I seen that. It made it better if I was over Tennessee, but Tennessee still won the game. Well deserved, but that was still amazing. So we got actually some big news that come out of college football this week. Scott Frost finally, should have happened years ago, finally got fired from Nebraska. Mickey Joseph takes over as interim. Watch them beat Oklahoma this weekend, by the way.
If they do, then Mickey Joseph has the job for a long, long time.
But if they don't win and Mickey Joseph doesn't survive long, I'm expecting him to become the coach anyways. If he has a good end to the season, he should become coach. But they are some early potential candidates already. Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell, Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson. This is one I was interested to see on here. Kansas head coach Lance Lovehood. I think I spelled that wrong on the script. But anyways, Oregon State head coach Jonathan Smith and Kansas State head coach Chris Klieman. Are you shocked to see that list? Like the head coaches on that list.
Yeah, I think they're all terrible. I mean, I would have a hard time hiring for the amount of money that they're paying any of these people.
I know there was more rumors of Mark Stoops, but he shut that crap down instantly. We now know Iowa is his job, so he ain't gonna worry about Nebraska. But out of that 5, I would probably want. I mean, Kansas has a great start to the year. I'll discuss Kansas in my bets a little bit later. Oregon State took down a good Fresno State team last weekend. Kansas State smacked Missouri. Wake Forest took care of Vanderbilt. Then Iowa State, well, Iowa's trash, so Iowa State beat Iowa last week. But who would you think the Nebraska coach would be? Or who would your dream scenario for Nebraska?
Coach O.
Oh, Coach O, okay. Why particularly him out of who else they can probably get?
He's a program builder. He came into LSU. LSU was not doing too good. I mean, obviously Nebraska is not doing too good. He can come in and build a program and give him a fresh start and let him start anew.
I was thinking about that when I seen Frost got fired. I was thinking like, oh, maybe a Coach O would be good there. And then I'd seen that list of guys. I was like, wait. But anyways, we'll move on to the next piece of news that I've seen this week. As everyone knows, Quinn Ewers got hurt during the Alabama game. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks with 2 sprains in his clavicle. Hudson Card will likely be the starter as he took over for him during the Bama game. That's tough. Tough for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I hate to hear that for the Horns just because and I'm not a Texas fan. I mean, it's no secret, but that kid was playing lights out. I mean, he was playing fucking great. And there's no doubting that. And I hated to see him go down the way he did.
So we watched the game. Hudson Card. Did you like the way he played in this game after taking over for years?
Yeah, I think he played a good game as a backup. I mean, he kept up with Alabama, right? I mean, the number 1 team in the nation, which after watching the game, I don't
know.
Yeah, I don't think they deserve to be at number 1, but somewhere in the top 5 for sure. I think he did good, but I think the other kid did better.
As Stark's a good coach. It's still taking him time. But he knew his starting quarterback going into the season when he got him from the transfer portal. So that's a big loss for the Longhorns. But there's also another quarterback that's going to be out for this season. Notre Dame starting quarterback. Well, he threw interceptions and did play well versus Marshall. So I don't know if it was going to be starter or not. But Tyler Bouchnier, the starter for Notre Dame, is out for the season with a high-grade shoulder sprain. He got surgery on it, I believe, on Tuesday. We don't really keep with Notre Dame that much, but what was your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, my thoughts on Notre Dame is always the same. They should nut up and join a conference. And up to that point, they should shut the fuck up.
Let's talk about that real quick. What conference?
For Notre Dame, I would think the Big Ten would make the most sense.
So, would you like to see them in the Big Ten with USC and UCLA joining still?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, unless you want them to join the Big 12 and get their ass kicked every year,
or the ACC, and they're in ACC for almost every other sport, so it would make sense for that to work as well.
I think no matter what conference they join, they're going to continue to get smacked. In my opinion, every year going into it, Notre Dame is way overrated. And in my opinion, that is going to continue every year. It's been proven year after year after year after year. So I don't see anything changing.
And the final piece of news that since this is also a gaming podcast, EA were, I don't know if it's EA, but I've seen on Twitter that EA will have the transfer portal in the new college football game. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to have a Kentucky franchise or dynasty and my backup quarterback transfers out.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
I can't really wait. I can't wait to see the game. I hope it doesn't match Madden's dynamics right now, but I feel like it will. But hey, we'll take any college game at this point.
Yeah, no kidding. And I know everybody right now is kind of butthurt at the new Madden game, so hopefully they kind of straighten their shit out and produce some kind of good quality.
I have high hopes for the game. I have high hopes. I'm tired of playing a college football revamped on my PC. Kind of getting owed at this point.
Yeah, the game that has Eli Manning as quarterback.
We'll move into our predictions right quick. We'll start with the Cougars, or the BYU Cougars going to Oregon. BYU is high off a win versus Baylor was top 10, I believe, versus a top 10 Baylor team. Beat them in overtime, plain and simple. The last meeting between the BYU and the Oregon was in 2006. You want to guess what happened in that game? Take your best guess what happened in that 2006 matchup.
Guessing they got stomped.
Yes, BYU absolutely beat the crap out of Oregon, 38-8 in the Las Vegas Bowl. After seeing that, my prediction was set in stone. I hate going against Oregon because I like Oregon. But today, I'm going against Oregon. I'm going 34-24, and the Cougars get a big win on the road.
So our prediction is pretty much the same. I went BYU 35, Oregon 28. So not really much of a difference.
We'll speak on Oregon for a minute, actually. What are your thoughts on Bo Nix?
Oh, God. I don't think he's a very good – well, yeah, I can't say that. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's NFL caliber.
He's inconsistent.
Yeah, he won't make it in the NFL.
If he goes out this year, there's too many quarterbacks already that are proving themselves. Young, Levis, Stroud. We'll move to the college game day. I believe they're college game days at Penn State. No, they're at App State. SEC Network's at Auburn, or number 22, Penn State at Auburn. Penn State last year took a close one at home against the Tigers, 28-20. The atmosphere will be crazy at Auburn. TJ Finley, their quarterback, had a very shaky start to the season. I changed that at the last minute, but I am backing Auburn. I'm going 34-28.
I'm doing the same thing, but down a touchdown on each side. I'm going Penn State 21, Auburn 28.
Who do you think the best quarterback in this game, Clifford or Finley? Finley's the LSU transfer, as you probably know already.
Finley, yeah.
So we're going with Finley here, back in Finley.
Yeah,
Clifford's been the best quarterback this year, but I think Finley's the best one when he gets going.
Yeah, if he can get going, yeah.
All right, we'll move to. I don't know why we do this to ourselves every week. I think Texas Tech was on our prediction last week, and when they lost, they beat Houston. But they're on here again, and they're taking on number 15 NC State. The Red Raiders and the Wolfpack haven't played since 2003, and Texas Tech actually has not beat NC State since 1952. Texas Tech knocked off a good and interesting Houston team in overtime. The Red Raiders are making massive strides under new head coach Johnny McGuire. But with that being said, I'm taking Devin Leary and the Wolfpack at home 42-35.
I agree 100%. And also, there's a little bit of personal in this for me because one of the engineers that I work for went to Texas Tech and is a proud Red Raiders, and I hope to see them lose.
That will probably be one of the only times you see us agree on one score. Then we actually disagreed on this one. We got number 11 Michigan State traveling to Seattle to take on Washington Huskies. The last time these two played was in 1997, where Washington beat the Spartans 51-23 in the Aloha Bowl. Peyton Thorne, Michigan State's quarterback, has had a tough start to the season, but who knows? This could be the game that changes that. But Indiana transfer Michael Penix Jr., now Washington's starting quarterback, has had a very strong start to the season. It's a primetime game. I believe it starts at 7:30 in Seattle. I'm backing the Huskies 38-31.
I don't follow that conference very much, but from what I've read and everything I've seen, I'm going to take Michigan State, go with the favorites. And my pick is 35-28, Michigan State.
And now we'll talk about Miami at Texas A&M. We'll start with Texas A&M real quick. So as you know, another LSU transfer, Max Johnson, he will be starting this game. What do you think about this? Haynes King, the younger, probably more potential quarterbacks on the bench now over Max Johnson.
I think that's fucking stupid. I think that they should play Haynes King. I think he's the better quarterback. I mean, I know Max Johnson is good. I remember watching him whenever he was back up for Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow got injured. I don't know. I think it's dumb. I'm not saying that Max Johnson is a bad quarterback. I'm just saying that Haynes King is better.
Miami will also be without their leading receiver, Xavier Restapro. I think he's leading about like 50 yards or so. So he's a big loss for the Miami offense. But some history here. Miami has won their last two meetings against the Aggies. Texas A&M hasn't beat Miami since 1944. And with saying that, I'm back in that the U. Wait, that's not the U. The U. I'm going 42-31 to the Hurricanes.
Interesting. I'm SEC. You know, I bleed SEC.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'm going Miami 21, A&M 35. A&M pulls off the upset.
Got to make these picks interesting sometimes. But yeah, we love the SEC in this group. So that will never change.
The next one is one that's all up to you. I had to look this one up because I wasn't even really sure who USC had or who they were playing or anything.
Yeah, I got this one. Okay. So the Trojans have won the last 3 games against Fresno State, including a great game. I believe that was in LA. It ended 31-23 to the Trojans. I believe this game will end similarly. Fresno State lost a close one to Oregon State, so they're going to have some fight back. But I think the Trojans' offense is way too powerful. So I'm going with 42-34 to the Trojans.
I took the same bet, but minus 1 touchdown on one side, 1 touchdown and a field goal on the other. However, I did put the over-under on our bets, which we'll talk about here in a bit.
Then a game, I want to talk about SMU a little bit. We don't show them much on here, so we won't the whole year unless they play like Cincinnati or something. But the Terps and the Mustangs have played twice ever. Maryland won both of those meetings of a combined score of 21-6, including a shutout in the second meeting. I really like what I've seen from both these teams as they both are undefeated so far. So I think this will be a close one. It's in Maryland, so that atmosphere will be crazy. But I'm going to back the Mustangs 35-31.
Too close to bet on, in my opinion, but I will agree with you. 35-31.
Hell, then we have a good little talk right here. We'll talk about this game for a little bit here. Mississippi State is traveling to Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, you're hurting my feelings, dude. I went to LSU, but I'm from Mississippi.
We'll talk this one out real quick. LSU has won 3 of their last 5 meetings against the Bulldogs, including a win at Starkville 28-25 last season. There's an interesting pattern I've seen between this game. So it's like LSU wins 2, Mississippi State wins, then LSU wins 2, then Mississippi State wins 1. That pattern. And you know where we're at right now? We're on the LSU has won once. Mississippi State won that past game before the Starkville game last year. So that being said, I'm back in LSU 45-42. I did have Mississippi State for a minute though, but I'm backing LSU 45-42.
Yeah, I will never bet against LSU in Death Valley. I've got LSU 35, State 31.
We'll talk about this game more real quick. So we know Will Rogers, Mississippi State's quarterback. What do you think about Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State, now LSU starting quarterback?
So I think he has potential. I mean, I definitely don't think he's going to be like a Joe Burrow, which is what all the LSU fans obviously want and almost expect at this point. But I think he'll do good. He won't do to that extent of good, but he'll do good.
So he's like a less arm power, more scramble, more quarterback than Joe Burrow is. Is that what LSU fans actually want in a quarterback, or they want one that throws the ball well?
So I think that's a hard question to answer because, I mean, I think what LSU fans really want is another Joe Burrow and somebody that can do both, that can scramble and can sling it. They can do basically anything, as Joe Burrow can. I think the reality is that, I mean, Joe Burrow was once in a lifetime. He's a prodigy.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to find another one.
If they do, it won't be the same. But now we will move to our bold predictions. I'll start with mine. As we mentioned earlier, Texas Tech beat Houston in overtime last week. And now they're going to say an undefeated Kansas team. They take an undefeated record to take on a Houston team that lost last week, like I said. Kansas is 3-0 all time versus the Cougars. Every meeting that Houston and Kansas has ever played, the 3 times, Houston scored 13 points each time. Kansas has all momentum, and I believe Kansas beats Houston.
I like it. For mine, I like Auburn over Penn State. Penn State is coming into Auburn to play Auburn at home, and I know Penn State has a higher ranking than Auburn, and Penn State's looking pretty good here lately, but Auburn ain't no joke, and coming into Auburn, Alabama, that damn sure ain't no joke. So that's gonna be my upset of the week. I think Auburn can pull it off.
Let's talk about that game. Auburn, what's their stadium size? Like 100 something K? Their fans will be crazy. They'll go crazy in that stadium. Who knows what they'll chant and crap, but
they're right there at 120,000.
God.
I'm mistaken.
How many Penn State fans do you think we go in? 20? Try to get around 20K in there with 100K Auburn fans just screwing around over there. God, that'd be tough.
Yeah, so Auburn sits about 90,000.
They said 90,000. I mean, if Penn State will probably get like 15K in there, maybe if that. That is a far distance travel from what's that city called? Wherever Penn State's from. That'll be a tough travel. So that's why we're both backing Auburn in this game.
Agreed.
And now we'll move to what you guys are actually here for, the bets. So as I mentioned in my bold prediction, Kansas, I have them beating Houston, and the spread is 8.5. So I think Kansas will take that spread and run away with it. And now California and Notre Dame. That spread is only at 40.5. I believe both of them teams scored over 20 points every game they played except Notre Dame at Ohio State, obviously. But I think over for Notre Dame and Cal would be a great thing. Then UConn, I think they travel to Michigan, and that spread's 47.5. That game's a bit like iffy for me. I know Michigan's good, but I feel like UConn's improved a lot. And plus, those spreads are usually ridiculous. I'm backing your it's like Arkansas State and Ohio State last week. I'm doing my UConn and Michigan this week. And then finally, Cincinnati and Miami, Ohio. I don't even know why I said Michigan there. Cincinnati has scored 27 and like 60 in their games. So that's like a good old 30-ish right there for Cincinnati. They'll probably score like 42, 49. Miami will probably score like 17. So their spread, their over and under is 50.5. So I'm smashing the over on that one. Let's hear yours.
All right. So starting out with the over under, my first bet is USC and Fresno State. I'm taking the under with 73.5. I think 73.5 is quite frankly ridiculous. I think it's going to come in way lower than that. My next bet is Auburn, and that's getting 2.5 points. I think Auburn's actually going to win that game, but the 2.5 points is kind of insurance. A&M getting 6 points. I also think A&M is going to win that game. Again, the 6 points is kind of insurance. And I've got a sleeper bet. I don't know about this one, but just one that I'm kind of going with my gut with. South Carolina getting 25 points. That spread seems ridiculous to me, especially for South Carolina. I think that would be a good bet to jump on.
So what do you think about that South Carolina team this year?
From an SEC standpoint, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up. I mean, the way that I see it is, you got Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee on one side, and you've got Bama, Ole Miss, and probably Arkansas on the other, and then Mississippi State as well. And other than that, I think everybody is pretty well even.
They were so hot. They're always overhyped into the going to the season. Like, oh, Spencer Rattler is going to go and be a god. He couldn't even do anything against the Arky defense. Arkansas is insane, by the way.
Dude, I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but that quarterback is never going to be a god. Like, I'll be surprised if he makes it into the NFL.
So we think of Shane Beamer as a coach. I'm pretty sure we've had this discussion in person before, but after 2 games into this season, what do you think about him?
That would be South Carolina, correct?
Yes.
I think he's doing a good job. I mean, he's doing better than his predecessor.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. We'll see what he looks like 2 years from now.
He's recruiting pretty well, I will say. He has a couple 4-stars. I think he has a 5-star. He's trying to get a 5-star right now, but he has a couple of 4-stars that I think they would definitely change that program for sure. Definitely a quarterback. I think he could go start over Rattler right now if he was eligible. Obviously, I think he's a 2024 rookie or something like that. So obviously he couldn't come start over Rattler right now, anyways. But his potential wise is going to be a lot better than Rattler.
Oh yeah, I think South Carolina will get it there. I mean, they always do. I mean, it's just like any other team, unless you're looking at like Bama or teams like that. You're gonna have your ups and downs, and it's just gonna be a down year for them.
We'll end this off with who will finish with more yards this week. We got Will Levis versus Youngstown State. Alabama, Bryce Young versus who do we say? Do they play? UL Monroe. Who does Ohio State play? Do they even play this week? CJ Stroud versus whoever they play this week. Or that BYU quarterback against Oregon. Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall is the name.
I hate to say it because I want to say Levis. My heart so badly wants me to say Levis, but I'm going to have to say Bryce Young.
Ohio State played Toledo. Okay. That's the only FCS opponents they're playing. So ULM's FBS. They're not good, but they're still FBS. Youngstown State's FCS. Toledo's obviously a FBS. I don't even know why I threw Jaren Hall in there. I just threw in a 4th quarterback. I figured Bryce Young or Lois would be the favorites out of that one. But I'm backing Bryce Young as well. Let's get some content in there. Why not? Bryce Young will be the best quarterback this week in college football.
Hell yeah, we're on the same page per usual.
Per usual. We've been on the same page for 7, 8, 9, 10 years now.
Oh, no, it's been longer than that, bro. More like 13 years. We're getting old, dude.
I know. And what ended off right there, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed our bets and predictions. We'll see you guys next week and for episode number 3 of the 2 Dudes and a Beard podcast. Hope you guys have a good one, and we are out of here. Peace out.